Very good morning. Sit down, take your seats. So today we will start. We have completed the topic, the origin and evolution of amphibia. And I am sure that you learn each and everything about the origin and evolution of amphibia. All diagrams, all fossil, all examples with all classification and with the proper evolutionary tree. We have to start the topic origin and evolution of reptiles. This is the topic that we have to start. But there is a hurdle, there is a problem. We cannot start the topic origin and evolution of reptile until or unless we will not complete one topic. It is a prerequisite, it is a condition, it is a hurdle that we have to cross. That first we have to study the types of skull in reptile. Why? Because the entire classification of class Reptilia is on the basis of type of skull they have. So the topic that we have to complete today is the types of skull in the Reptilia. So without wasting a single second, let us start. Write down types of skull in Reptilia. Types of skull in Reptilia. Reptiles. This is the topic that we have to complete. Why? Because we know that we have to deal with the topic origin and evolution of reptiles. But for that we have to project the entire classification on the evolutionary tree with the geological time scale, but we cannot study the classification of reptilia until or unless we will first study this topic, the types of skull in the reptile. Because when we study the reptiles, any group, say it Ornithischia, Saurischia, Pelicosauria, Therapsid, Synapsid, dinosaurs, Archaeopteryx, Rhynchocephalia, Tuatara, Sphenodon, whatsoever, the Squamata, the Lacertilia, the Ophidia, the snakes, the lizards, the crocodiles, everything. The first thing that we have to state is that what kind of skull they have. So now you will understand that why it is important. Because in every group, first we have to declare that they have this particular type of skull. So this is a Himalaya in between us, and we have to cross this Himalaya. We have to cross this, Everest. We have to reach on the top, and then we will get this license to reach to the other part of the shore. Got my point? So first today we will complete the types of skull in the reptiles. So write down, there are five types of skull. There are 5 types of skull that are present in the class Reptilia, and about 123 years ago there was a scientist whose name was the Osborn stated that there are 5 types of skull present in the class Reptilia: the Anapsid, the Euryapsid, and the first is Anapsid. Anapsid type of skull. These are type of skull. These are type of skull. So the first category is Anapsid type of skull. This is not Anapsida, remember. This is Anapsid. We are right now not talking about the orders. We are talking about the types of skull. So the first type of skull is Anapsid type of skull. The second is Euryapsid. Euryapsid type of skull. The second category is Euryapsid type of skull. The third is parapsid type of skull. The third category is parapsid type of skull. The fourth category is Diapsid type of skull. And the fifth category is Synapsid type of skull. There are 5 categories of skull: the Anapsid, the Euryapsid, the parapsid, the Diapsid, and the Synapsid. Now first understand and try to grasp the concept, then everything will be easy. First we have to understand what is apsid. What is apsid? Any one of you, if you can tell me what is apsid? So apsid is coming from the Greek word. It is actually a suffix. Suffix, you know, understand the suffix, there are two word prefix which is coming before the word and suffix which is coming after the word. So this is coming after the word. So apsid is a suffix and it is a Greek word. Write down, it is a Greek word which is actually coming from the word hepsis. Hepsis, there is a word which is called as a hepsis, and from the hepsis the word come apsid. And what does it mean? This is very, very important. Pay attention. What apsid means? Apsid means opening. It's actually literally means arch. What is apsid? Apsid is basically arch. And what is arch? Arch is nothing but the opening. Call it as opening or call it as a fenestra. The word is fenestra, or call it as cavity, or you can say vacuity. Vacuity. They all are synonyms. The apsid means arch, and by the arch we means opening or fenestra or cavity or vacuity, or we can say window. Or we can say fossa. They all mean same. Fossa. Or you can simply say in your local language, hole. Simple as this. So basically there are great variety in the skull of the reptile. They have different type of skull based on the arch, what kind of arch they have. So Anapsid, no arch, no opening, no window, no vacuity, no fenestra, no fossa, no hole. Now we will not use the word hole. This is unscientific. So I will rub it. This is just for your understanding. So don't use the hole, but you can use these words. These, word like opening, like cavity, like vacuity, like window was used in the scientific text. You can found. But right now what word we use? We use actually fenestra and vacuity and fossa. But what kind of vacuity, what kind of fossa, what kind of window we are talking about? They have a skull, and skull have a posterior lateral portion which is called as a temporal portion. So they may or they may not have the temporal opening, the temporal fossa, the temporal vacuity, the temporal opening, the temporal window. Got my point? So you have understand the meaning of apsid. Now it's very easy for you. Anapsid means no arch. There is no arch. And diapsid means there will be two arch. There will be two opening. So this classification is based on what? Presence and absence of. Write down. This classification is based on presence or absence of arch or opening or fenestra or vacuity or cavity or fossa. So this classification is based on the presence or absence of arch and their number, that if they are present, if the arch is present, then what is their number, whether it is a one opening, whether it is a one arch or two arch. Got my point? So these are termed the Anapsid, the Euryapsid, the parapsid, the Diapsid and the Synapsid. Now we have to study each and every group separately. We have to draw the diagram. First we have to understand how to draw the diagram of a reptilian skull. Then we will make a fenestra or the opening in each skull. And then we will understand what is going in particular kind of skull. Then only we will get the license to start our topic, the origin and evolution of reptiles. Then only we will be entitled to study the classification of reptile. So we will now start with the each kind of skull. But my question is this, that why for the very first place these reptiles have these fossa? I mean, we have studied fishes, we have studied amphibian. There they were, we don't even talk about the apsid or arches or the fossa or the fenestra. They don't have, they simply don't have. Why this is a condition? Why for the first place in the evolution the arch developed? Can you have any hint, any idea? Arey wow, very good. Yes. What's your good name? Devesh. Devesh is right. So the thing is that the acceptable theory is, this is a prediction, that why the reptilian on the first place developed this fenestra. The reason is, the most probable reason is that, see, the fishes were in the ocean and in the water. So whole of the weight of the skull is supported by the buoyancy of the water. The weight of the skull is not an issue and problem for the fish or the amphibia. But when you come properly on the land, then there is only one way to feed, and that is to capture the prey, get hold of the prey and then crush it between your teeth. For that you need a strong jaws, for that you need a strong skull, for that you need some place where the muscle can join, for that you need some vacuities or the hole. The vacuity or the hole solve two purposes. First, they will make the skull light, because as Devesh has said, what is the problem with the terrestrial animal? Like we have, the whole of the weight of the skull is on these cervical vertebrae. The first is, the atlas and then axis and then, the cervical vertebrae, 7 cervical vertebrae we have. Got my point? So this whole of the weight of the skull has to carry on this cervical vertebrae. And hence we are facing with the problem of cervical, we will say cervical spondylitis, something like that. So what is the reason? That our cervical vertebrae are unable to hold this weight. Now you know that in reptiles, the majority of the reptiles were the huge, like dinosaurs. The present day reptiles are nothing in front of those who are get extinct. The Brontosaurus and Diplodocus and Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we will study each and everything. They are huge, giant. I also make a video on iguanodon, 20 feet long dinosaur. So before teaching it, I make a video and post for you. So just to give you an idea that how huge they were. And they are such a great predator that they need a heavy skull with heavy jaws and heavy bones and heavy teeth. For that, they have to modify their skull, and they start developing holes and vacuities. First, it will reduce the weight. Second, it will provide a space for the muscles to get attached. And on the basis that how many vacuities they have, the temporal vacuities they have, the temporal fossa they have, the skulls are divided. And rest is all the story. The whole story is on these different type of skull. Then the things will be very easy for you. Then you will understand each and everything. But first we have to understand the types of skull. Got my point? So we will start from the very basic skull, that they don't have any vacuities. Like we have a semoria, like we found in the amphibians. You know, we have amphibians. In the amphibians, we have a labyrinthodontia. In the labyrinthodontia, we have anthracosaurida. In the anthracosaurida, we have a seamoria. We left there. And from the seamoria, we will start the origin and evolution of the reptile. But now this seamoria or the cortillosauria is nothing. It is actually a labyrinthodont, what? Amphibia. We put it in the amphibian category. So if it is an amphibia, that means that it has no vacuity whatsoever. So we will start with the Anapsid skull that was found in the what? Seamoria and the cortillosauria. So draw the, first you have to listen. All the 5 type of skull is started with the basic plan. If you will understand the first type of skull, then the things will be very easy for you. It will be going to a very hard day for you, but not for me. Why? Because I am a professor. I have this power of duster and chalk. I can rub. But you have to make 5 skull in your notebook and in your answer book also. So you have to draw 5 skull. I will draw only 1. Got my point? But with the help of chalk and duster, I will keep modifying them and you will be keep drawing them. Okay? With this note, we will draw the first Anapsid skull. The skull with no vacuity, no hole, no fenestra, no cavity whatsoever. And you also grasp the concept that why for the first place they develop a hole or the vacuity in the skull. So first you have to draw the Anapsid skull, no arch, no vacuity, nothing. So draw it. Listen and try to get the concept. Okay? Try to follow me that what I am saying. Listen very carefully. Listen, there will be a nasal opening. नाक तो सबके होगी ना, nostril तो होगी, सांस नहीं लेगा क्या? So they will have a nostril. So the bone that is associated with the nasal aperture will be definitely the nasal bone. The nasal bone. Then below the nasal bone, they have another kind of bone which is called as premaxilla. What is the name of the bone? Premaxilla. Listen, we have this nasal, and then this bone is called as a frontal bone, and this bone is called as the parietal bone. Similarly, the first bone will be the nasal bone, below it there will be premaxillae, and then we will draw the frontal and the parietal. So draw it. The second bone is the second bone will be the, so this is what? This is premaxilla. This is what? Nasal bone, and this will be frontal, and behind the frontal there will be a parietal bone. So make a parietal bone. So there are 4 bones in the anterior side, the premaxillae, then the bone which is associated with the nasal aperture, that will be nasal. Then after the nasal there will be a frontal, and after the frontal there will be a bone which is called as a parietal. Got my point? So simple as this, the premaxillae, the nasal, the frontal and the parietal. And then there is another hole also, and that hole is actually a eye. So make a eye. भाई नाक है तो आँख भी तो होगी ना, ठीक है? So there will be another hole, and that will be the eye orbit. So this is nothing but the eye orbit. Got my point? And this eye orbit is joined with the nasal, and this will be joined to the frontal, and then it is also joined with the eye orbit. And at the posterior side there are two bones. At the anterior side there are four bones: the premaxillary, the nasal, the frontal and the parietal. But at the posterior side there will be two bones: the post-orbital, because it is behind the eye orbit, the post-orbital, and the squamosal. What is the name? The post-orbital. This will be the post-orbital, and this will be the squamosal. Squamosal. So at the anterior side there will be four bones. At the posterior side there will be two bones, and at the lower side, see this, if this is the premaxillary, then this will be the maxillary. Simple as this. So if this is a premaxillary, then any bone which will be near to this will be nothing but what? Premaxillary. And the thing about premaxillary and the maxillary is that they have a teeth. The premaxillary have the premaxillary teeth, and the maxillary have the maxillary teeth. So make a teeth. Make a teeth. You can use any other chalk. So the premaxillary and maxillary bone have a teeth. The premaxillary have premaxillary teeth, the maxillary have a maxillary teeth. And then there will be two more bones. And these bones are called as jugal and quadratojugal. So you can write here that there are on the lower side there are two another bone, and the name of the bone is jugal and the quadratojugal. So this will be your jugal bone, and that will be the quadratojugal. What is the name? You have to learn this. Quadratojugal bone. Then there is this chamber also, this chamber, and this chamber is called as the lacrimal chamber. This chamber is called as the lacrimal bone, not chamber, bone. Lacrimal bone. And if this is frontal, then this will be prefrontal. So these are the bone, and this whole diagram is what? This is the lateral view of. This is a, write down, this is a lateral view. Lateral view, not lateral view but lateral diagrammatic. This is a diagram, this is not an actual skull. We are making the diagram. So this is nothing but the lateral diagrammatic view of the reptilian skull. So write down lateral diagrammatic view of what? Reptilian skull. So in a nutshell, the reptilian skull have four bones at the anterior side: the premaxillary, the frontal, the premaxillary, the nasal, the prefrontal and the parietal. There are four bones: the premaxillary, the nasal, the frontal and the parietal. At the posterior side, behind the eye orbit, there are postorbital and the squamosal, and at the lower side, there are premaxillae, maxillae, then there are another bone, jugal and quadratojugal. So the entire story about the presence and absence of fossa or the fenestra, we will project on this specific type of skull. Got my point? So this is what kind of skull? Now this is the Anapsid skull. No opening. This is the first category, Anapsid skull. Complete roofing of the skull. There is no opening whatsoever. There are only two openings. One is the nasal and second is the eye orbit. Apart from it, there is no opening. Got my point? So there is a complete roofing. There are bones. There are no vacuity, no space. So this is the most primitive condition, and that is present in what? Example is, you have to also write the example. The example is, yes. Tell me. Semoria. And the category is Cotylosaura or Anthracosaura. In amphibian we say Anthracosaura, in reptiles we say Cotylosaura. Got my point? So this is the most primitive condition. This is not an advanced character. The presence of vacuities or the hole or the fenestra or the fossa or the opening is the advanced character. The absence of any vacuity is actually a primitive character. So this is a primitive skull, and that was found in the extinct Cotylosaura. The example is Semoria, and very interesting. Yes, all the present day Chelonia. That means all the turtles and tortoise. Write down. All the turtle and tortoise. This is the name of the group, Chelonia. And Chelonia consists of turtles and tortoise. And there is another terrapins also. Got my point? So no temporal fossa, no vacuity, no cavity, complete roofing of the skull, and this is a very solid structure, but there is no space for the muscles, and hence the beak, the skull of the, if you have seen the tortoise or the turtle, it has got a small head and a long neck. Got my point? And beak like head. In fact, no teeth are there. They have a beak. They don't have teeth. So the skull cannot carry the weight of the teeth. So this is the primitive condition that was found in the extinct reptiles and the present day Chelonia group, which consists of the tortoise and trionyx and turtles and all these things. Got my point? So now make another diagram. Now it will be going to be hard for you, but it will be going to an easy day for me, because I have to do nothing but change the category. The another category is Euryapsid skull. What is the name? Euryapsid skull. So write down Euryapsid skull. Euryapsid skull. Euryapsid skull. This Euria means what, and apsid means what? This Eury means actually wide, and apsid means arch. So basically they have one arch, which is actually a wide arch, and the name of the skull is Euryapsid skull. Got my point? It will have the same bones, the premaxillae and the nasal and the frontal and the parietal, same, this format of the bones. But now they are getting developed, they are getting advanced, and they are starting developing what? A vacuity. So for the first time we have to make a vacuity, and listen, see carefully. I will make a vacuity here. So you have to also draw the vacuity here. make a vacuity, very prominent vacuity. So now the skull is little bit, lightweight, and it's also providing the space for the muscles where the jaw muscle can, attach, and it can play a role of great predator. So that will be your a Euryapsid skull. So the category will be the Euryapsid skull. The Euryapsid skull. So draw this. Today you have to draw 5 skulls. Each will represent a particular type of skull. So they have a cavity, and this name of this cavity is a supratemporal vacuity or a cavity. So this is supratemporal vacuity or cavity or fossa or fenestra or opening. You can use any word, but the right word is superior temporal fossa, superior temporal vacuity, superior temporal fenestra. Got my point? So the vacuity start developing, and listen, now you have to describe also. Pay attention here. Before drawing it, pay attention here. This is important. See, you have to also describe that if there is a supratemporal vacuity, then it is surrounded by what kind of bones? Then you have to say that in the Euryapsid skull, which means a wide arch, actually there is a vacuity or the cavity which is called as the supratemporal vacuity, and it is covered by the bones from the upper side, the parietal bone, and from the lower side it is guarded and surrounded by the post-orbital bone and the squamosal bone. Got my point? And listen, this is very important. So how you will learn it, I will also giving you the idea that how I learned it. How I learned it, that actually I make this sign which actually represent what? The vacuity, and then what I have done is that I mention the name of the bone, that it is the this post orbital, then squamosal, and then parietal. So make this block, this single block will be enough to make you understand. Good idea, na? Yes, I am working hard. I am really working hard. See my notes, how much work I have done. It's clearly so that I am doing sincerely my hard work. So you will describe that the superior temporal vacuity is surrounded by the 3 bones, from the upper side parietal bone, and from the lower side from the squamosal and the post orbital bone. And the example is have you ever heard of this name? Plesiosaurus. What is the example? Plesiosaurus. So if somebody asks, this Euryapsid type of skull is found in what reptile? So there was an ancient reptile that was living in the late Triassic period up to the late Cretaceous period. Before the Cretaceous mass extinction, which was actually 66 million years ago, and the late Triassic was near about 203 million years ago. So from 203 million years ago to 66 million years ago, this much span, we found the fossil of great Plesiosaurus. Why it is great? Because it was a monster. It was a monster. And what is the name of monster? Have you ever heard? This is very, very interesting. बहुत interesting है भाई ये. The name of this monster is what? Loch Ness monster. Loch Ness monster. Have you ever heard of this Yeti? है ना? You know, people have sighted Yeti. Many, these, traveler, when they used to visit this Himalayan area, the higher land, many of them clearly reported that yes, we have seen a Yeti. Few of the, Indian soldiers also found their footprint, real footprint. But unfortunately, we don't have the concrete evidence, the zoological evidence, the scientific evidence that there is any Yeti or not. Similarly is the case with the unsolved mysteries of the biological world. Another example is Plesiosaurus, which is actually a Loch Ness monster. What is Loch Ness? This Loch Ness is a very huge river, very long river, freshwater river in the Scotland. So this river, this is actually a Loch Ness is a river. It is a river which is present in the Scotland. कहाँ है? Scotland में. Scotland. And Scotland is a part of, this Britain Empire, United Kingdom. So this is a river Loch Ness where many people have sighted this Plesiosaurus. They have even photographed it. Even, video is also taken. But every effort of founding that, every expedition to get this, monster and to see with the eye is futile. We never able to, many expedition was taken place. कि क्या सच में ऐसा हुआ था या सिर्फ hoax है? Then we found that there is no such devil or there is no such monster. But it was because we found the fossil. So if you can, Priyanka, zoom in my mobile. I want to show the photograph of this Plesiosaurus. So you can see, if you can see, pay attention here. तो बड़ी समस्या है इसकी कि अगर ये गर्दन, मतलब when it live inside the river, it can touch the bottom of the river. And when that the Plesiosaurus is a large giant marine, long-necked, large giant aquatic marine, long-necked turtle-like organism that lived in late Triassic from 2003 million years ago to the late Cretaceous period, when the Cretaceous mass extinction wiped out all the dinosaurs along. This is not a dinosaur, this is actually an aquatic reptile, but it was as huge as the dinosaur were. So this is also called as a Loch Ness monster, one of the mystery of the biological world. Many people have reported it, many people have cited it, many people even filmed it, but the every effort to found it in a live is futile. So this is Plesiosaurus. So example is Plesiosaurus. So this much you will write about the, this Euryapsid skull. Got my point? This is near about 15 meter long. This Plesiosaurus is 15 meter. Can you able to convert it into the feet? This is near about 50 feet, 50 feet. You are just 66 feet and they are 50 feet long. Got my point? Plesiosaurus, Loch Ness monster. Then, now the things will become very easy. When I will classify it, and when I will say the Euryapsida, and the example is Plesiosaurus, and then we will draw the diagram, and then we will talk about the, this temporal vacuities and superior temporal vacuities, you will able to connect it. Otherwise they are just words that make nothing sense. Okay, so now we will come to the another category, and the name of the skull is, write down, what? Parapsid skull. So this will be parapsid skull. Draw another skull, parapsid skull. This will be the third category, parapsid skull. This example will be changed. But the vacuity remain the same. They also have what? One vacuity, which is nothing but the supratemporal vacuity. Okay, but then the bones are changed. This arrangement is changed. You have to very specific. In the answer, you have to write that it is not surrounded by the post-orbital and the squamosal, but it is actually surrounded by the supratemporal and the it is surrounded by the supratemporal and the postfrontal bone. Now you have need not to mug up the things, you have to just understand and everything will be clear. Actually listen, pay attention, it is very important. This parapsid skull is just a slight modification of the skull that we have studied just now, the Euryapsid skull. What actually happening is that if you can see this, there are two bones, the post-orbital and the squamosal bone. The lateral partition, suddenly what is the modification, that the lateral partition start developing and two new bones arises, and the name is because it is behind the orbital, so this will be what? Post frontal. This is called as a, so not post frontal, this is actually, what is the name of the bone? Yes, this is, listen, this is the post frontal, and this will be supratemporal. This will be supratemporal. So now we will say that a separate partition start arising in the parapsid skull, which pushes down the post orbital and the squamosal bone at the lower side and surround the supratemporal vacuity, or we can say that the supratemporal vacuity is now guarded by the parietal bone from the above part from the upper side, and post frontal and supratemporal bone from the lower side. Got my point? That will be your parapsid skull. And the example is Ichthyosaurus, again a huge giant organism, extincted. Ichthyosaurus, ichthyo means fish and saur means lizard. Ichthyosaurus, it is again a very huge animal. It was a very huge animal, and near about 50 to 40 feet, and it was dolphin like, present day dolphin like, fish like. Okay, I can show you the diagram, and its beak is very much pointed to capture the fishes. Can you see this? Dolphin like, है ना? Ichthyosaurus. Okay, huge giant. So this is the third category. Now come to the fourth category, and the fourth category is what? Diapsida. So write down Diapsida. Diapsid skull. Make another skull in your copy and write down Diapsida. Diapsid skull, not diapsida, diapsid skull. Got my point? And as the name indicate, you know, diapsida means there will be two vacuities, two temporal opening. There will be a superior temporal opening or the superior temporal vacuity and the inferior temporal vacuity. So make two vacuities. One will be here. Now it will no more, you know, you can rub all these. There will be no partition. The partition is found only and only in the parapsid type of skull. Then there is nothing like, you know, postfrontal and the supratemporal bone. Now we will follow the same basic plan. We will follow the same basic plan of the Anapsid skull, and these, you know, bones again vanished, and we are left with same bone from where we have started, and there will be another vacuity here, and it will be called as what? Inferior temporal vacuity. Inferior temporal vacuity. So in a diapsid skull there will be two vacuity. One will be the superior temporal vacuity and the another will be inferior temporal vacuity. And if you can see, pay attention. See, we have to describe the whole skull in the words. So you will write, pay attention here, you will write that in the diapsid skull the superior temporal vacuity is guarded by the parietal bone from the outer side, upper side, and the, you know, post orbital and the squamosal bone from the lower side, and the inferior temporal vacuity is guarded and covered by the post orbital and squamosal bone from the upper side and the jugal and the quadratojugal from the lower side. Got my point? So what you will do is that you will change it, that there will be a vacuity, but it will be surrounded by, you know, it will be surrounded by post orbital and squamosal from the upper side and quadratojugal and jugal from the lower side. This will be your shortcut way to learn and describe the vacuities, that they are present where and they are surrounded by which kind of bone. And the example is all reptiles, all present day reptiles. You can say all present day reptile. All present, example is all, you know, all present day reptiles except Chelonia. Except Chelonia, you know, all kind of reptiles. So snakes and lizards and sphinodon and rhynchocephalia and tuatara and dinosaurs and pterosaurus and crocodiles and everything, they have this kind of skull. The present day reptile, even dinosaur, they had this diapsid type of skull. Got my point? Snakes, lizard, all have this plan. They have two vacuities, two holes, two fenestra in their skull, and hence they were very, very successful because they got a lot of space for their muscles to get attached, and also their skull become lightweight. Why? Because they have to feed, they have to capture the prey, they have to, you know, occupy all the uncharted territory of the land, and they have to, you know, feed upon other animals. So they need a heavy skull so that they have a heavy jaws, you know, because they were the great predator. They were the most efficient predator ever existed on planet Earth. So for that, the two vacuities developed, the supratemporal vacuity and the infratemporal vacuity. Got my point? Now, so the example is all present day reptile except the Chelonia groups. So all Squamata and all Ophidia and all Lacertilia and all Ornithischia and or Sorcia and everything. Then we are left with just one last category, and then that category is called as a Synapsid skull. Di means two and apsid means arch. The synapsis means joint arch. So they have a single joint arch. So write down synapsid skull. Synapsid skull. Now there will be no more this supratemporal vacuity. See, the things are how much easy for me. Today I am really enjoying the class because I have to work very, I am in a comfort zone as compared to you. So there will be no supratemporal vacuity, so we have to rub it down. There is no supratemporal vacuity now. But we have a lower temporal vacuity, so this will be remain, or we can write this lower temporal vacuity or fossa or fenestra. Got my point? So we are now concluding the things. We are at the last category, and the name of the category is the synapsid skull. Synapse means together. What is the meaning of synapse? Synapse means together. And apsid means arch. Together arch. So there will be a single vacuity at the lower side, and how you will represent it, that there will be a central vacuity, but now it is no more guarded by these bone. The arrangement of bone is changed. So you will say that this inferior or the lower temporal vacuity is surrounded from the lower side by the jugal and the quadratojugal bone, and from the upper side by the this post-orbital and the squamosal bone. So the arrangement of the bone will be this post-orbital, then squamosal, then this will be your jugal, and this will be your quadratojugal. Or you can also write that above these bone there will be a parietal bone. You can write if you want to write, just to show the arrangement. And the example will be, this is very, very important, the example will be very, very important. Example is Cynognathus. Example will be Cynognathus. This cyno means dog and gnathus means jaw, dog like jaw. And this is very, very important, because from this we will study what? The origin of mammalia, of mammals. So this is basically a mammalian stock. This is basically a mammalian stock. We have a fossil Cynognathus, but it got extinct. They are no more, they are got extinct. And there is another fossil which is called as a Dimetrodon. Write down, you have to learn these names, and also these names will come when we will study the this origin and evolution of reptiles in the classification. So write down Dimetrodon. So we have a two fossils, Cynognathus and the Dimetrodon. Di means two, metrodon means the kind of teeth. So basically they have two kind of teeth, the Dimetrodon fossil. Got my point? And they all are extincted, but they are very, very important. Why this? Because they are the ancestor of the mammalian stock. From here, the origin and evolution of mammalia will be start. Got my point? So, this is all about the types of skull that are present in the reptiles. So, first you have to, explain that why the fenestra or the fossa or the vacuities develop inside the reptilian skull, and what is their benefit to having a vacuity in the skull. Then on the basis of presence or absence of the vacuity, the skulls are divided into Anapsid and the another kind of skulls. Now how much vacuity they have, they are divided into the Diapsid and another type of skull. And what is the position of the particular type of fossa or the vacuity, they are divided into the parapsid and the Euryapsid type of skull. Got my point? So no vacuity, single vacuity, which is superior temporal vacuity, which is surrounded by the post orbital and the squamosal bone. But then this is a Euryapsid type of skull, but then there is a partition developed which push down this this post orbital and the squamosal bone at the lower side, and the two new bone come into the existence. They are called as a post frontal and the supratemporal bone. Got my point? This the Euryapsid type of skull was present in the Loch Ness monster, which is Plesiosaurus, and this parapsid type of skull is present in the Ichthyosaurus. And then we have this Diapsid type of skull. In Diapsid type of skull we have all kind of present day reptiles where they got a chance to develop their strong jaws because of the two type of fenestra and the fossa, and all lesser telia and ophidia and dinosaurs and rhynchocephalia and squamata, everything is included in that group. And then this group, this Synapsid group, is very, very important because we are here because of this Cynognathus. Thanks to this Cynognathus, that they develop a Synapsid kind of skull which have a lower temporal vacuity and which is surrounded by the post orbital and squamosal from the upper side and the jugal and the quadratojugal from the lower side. With this we conclude today's topic, the different types of skull in the reptilia, and from now onward it will be very easy to make a complete classification chart of the reptilia. Thank you so much.